So his dad look at him, and as I'm walking up the stairs, out of the corner of my eye, I see his dad like looking at me, like examining me, walk upstairs. But I had my head down, and I was like kind of like looking so that he can like, just to see like what their expressions were. So I go up the stairs, and I go in the bed. I leave the light off because it's dark. I leave the light off, and I just get in the bed, and I pull the cover over me. And I was crying a little bit, but I'm just like, you gotta hold it together. Like, hold it together, hold it together. 5 minutes went by, and I hear a knock at the door. I was just like, come in. And then my son was like, hey, mommy. I mean, mom. Because D had this thing that he did not like for Jackson to call me mommy. He said, you sound like a pussy when you say mommy. That's not mommy, that's mom. You're too old to be calling her mommy. So he was learning how to not call me mommy and call me mom. So he was like, hey, mommy, mom. He's like, are you okay? And I was just like, I'm okay, I'm okay. And then he came over to me, stood in front of me, and I was laying down, and I look up at him, and then he rubbed the knot. He was just like, I'm sorry. I'm like, it's not your fault, Jackson. You didn't do anything. And he was just like, does it hurt? I said, it hurts, but I'm like, I'm fine. Mommy is fine. And he was just like, well, what made Dad so mad? I was like, it was an accident. Like, it was not on purpose. We just got a little out of control. Daddy was just swinging his arms a little bit too much, and it hit me. It's okay. I'm fine. And he was just like, oh, are you sure? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm trying to smile. I was like, I'm fine. I look up at him. I was like, and I hit his cheek. I'm like, I'm fine. He started laughing. He gave me a hug. He was like, I love you, Mom. I'm like, love you too, son. He's like, okay, go to sleep. I was like, okay, thank you. I'll go to sleep. And then he walked out. And eventually I fell asleep. But I woke up because I heard talking over me. I popped my eye open just a little bit, just to peek to see like who was standing over me. Cause I ain't want like full blown open my eyes and be like, boom, nigga, what y'all doing? So I opened my eyes just a little bit, and it was D and his dad. His dad was standing over me. He was like, yeah, just put some ice on it. She's like, and she fell. Like, she fell. He was like, yeah, you know how clumsy she is. And he was just like, yeah, just put some ice on. Just put some ice on, and then that swelling should go down. I was like, dang, Kayana. And then they walked out. A couple minutes later, D came back and put ice on my face or whatever not. And then I woke up, like I popped my eyes open. I was like, he was putting the ice on my face, and I was just like, so what you told him? He was like, shh. I said, no. So what did you tell your dad? He was like, look, I told them that you fell. I said that we was outside. I was pumping gas, and you was coming back from getting some stuff out the gas station, and then there was a puddle. You slipped, and you fell. You hit your face on the door. I was like, shit, I mean, it fucking makes sense. I'm like, okay, all right. He was like, look, and I sat Jackson down, and I told him that we was just playing, and then I accidentally did that. I was just like, okay, all right. And then he left. Maybe like, I stayed in that room because I was just like, I didn't want them looking at me or anything. So 10 minutes after D went out, we had a little talk, and he left, his dad knocked on the door, like, because the door was cracked, and I was sitting up watching TV anyway. His dad knocked on the door. He's like, hey, Kayana, how you feeling? And he walked in. I was just like, I'm okay. He was like, yeah, D told me you took a fall. And I was like, yeah. He was like, you okay? I said, I'm fine. He was like, you took a bad fall? I was like, I slipped. I did. He was like, and you hit the door? I was like, yeah, I slipped and I hit the door. I'm like, I can be clumsy. He was like, all right, Kayana. All right. I was like, everything's fine. It's fine. It's like, all right, keep some ice on it. I was like, okay, I'm keeping the ice on. So the next day came, and that was New Year's Eve. We playing games and stuff, and the swelling, the knot did go down a little bit. It was just like a small little bruise mark at this point. Like, it was still a little knot, but it wasn't as big as it was. It hadn't went down. Celebrated, brought in New Year's together, or whatever not. Ended up going back home to Georgia. And when we got there, things were, it was okay. Now we're in 2019, January of 2019. I had been helping him study to get his license. He ended up getting his license. Got his license. Me, I finally was able to get my divorce. Like, they was finally able to serve my my ex. Well, they didn't serve him. He was served by publication, so we had to put it in the newspaper in the town that we lived in. So I put it in the newspaper. I had to run for 3 months. I finally got my court date in January the 17th. And we got that dissolved. And I got my maiden name back. He was so excited about me having my maiden name back. So in my mind, I'm thinking like, yeah, I know. Y'all just like, y'all done went through a whole lot. And that was just the first year. I know. That was just the first year. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm like, well, all right. I'm working on the things that he had an issue with. Like, I'm working on my attitude. Somewhat. Like, I'm trying to be submissive. I don't know what the fuck. I still don't know. Well, I know what it is now. But then, I'm like, I don't even know what submissive is, but I guess I'll work on that. Like, I'm not asking him about what he's doing. Like, because in my mind, I'm just like, I'm going to ask him, and we're going to fight, and I'm going to still stay. So why the fuck am I asking? I'm like, don't ask. If you don't ask, there won't be any issues. I know, or no. I know. So I stopped asking. I stopped saying anything. I'm like, look, because I know that I am going to stay, I'm going to just stop. Don't hate me. I know I was stupid. I know I was stupid. Very stupid. And especially after he got his license. I was stupid as fuck. Because I helped him study for it. And he got it. So, one day, we still in January of 2019. He come home from work. I know y'all like, this is a pattern. He come home from work. He come home, because that nigga still ain't had no job. He come home mad. And I know you was just like, oh, this nigga always come home mad. He came home mad. And again, he come in the room to find me. And I'm just like, what's up with you? Because he had like a little attitude. I'm like, what's up? You okay? Everything good? And he was like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, all right, well, I'm here if you want to talk about it. Because, like, at this point, I'm like, I ain't talking about nothing that you got going on. And I had started back doing my classes. I failed my classes last semester. So I'm making up for it this semester, which I was supposed to graduate in May of 2019. But because I was making up all the classes I failed last semester because I was doing his class to make sure he graduated, I know. Pissed me off every time I goddamn say it, because, whew. Anyway, I was making sure he had all his papers and assignments done, so he got good grades. I failed, so I had to retake those classes. So I'm in class. When he came home, he was mad, whatever. And like I said, I stopped asking him. I stopped questioning, and he said he didn't want to talk about it. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm here if you want to talk. Whenever you want to talk. So about 5 minutes went by. He was like, man, I can't believe he did this fuck shit. And I'm just like, you want to talk now? Or we talking? He was just like, man, yeah, I'm pissed the fuck off. I'm like, okay, so what happened? He was like, so tell me why Quentin knew that my son, which is his 1 year old, well, at the time he was 3 by 2 or 3 by now. Because we met in 2017, he was 1. He's about 2. So he was just like, Quentin knew that my son was here in the city and he didn't even tell me. And he was at the apartment that they stay at. Like, he was there, him and that bitch. He's talking about his baby mom. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah. And I didn't know until, like, they was about to leave. And then he called me and let me know they was there. So I fucking chased their ass. I'm like, you fucking chased them? What do you mean you chased them? He was like, I would, because we literally stayed 2 minutes from Quentin. So he said he got in the car and he chased them.